This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the Small Cap Discoveries Conference 2018 in Vancouver, BC. With me right now is David Wolf from Hamilton Thorne. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you, HTL on the TSX Venture and HTLZF in the US. David, welcome back to SNNLive.
Thank you, Robert. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you back. So, for our audience, let's start off with an overview and go from there.
Sure. So what Hamilton Thorne does is provide a wide range of products, capital equipment, consumables, software, and services for the laboratory inside the Assisted Reproductive Technologies field.
So we had you on the program, actually, I think this exact time last year. So for our audience, let's get an update. What's been going on at Hamilton Thorne in the last 12 months?
Sure. So over the past year, I would say there are three things that we've decided we wanted to work on, and I think we've been successful in all of them. One has been accelerating our organic growth. Our organic growth has been strong over the past 9 months. We reported roughly mid-teens organic growth, so that's good for us, and in our field is growing about 7% a year, so I think that's a solid performance for us. Acquisitions are an important part of our growth strategy, so one of the things that's critical for us is to successfully integrate the acquisitions that we've done. We did a big deal in April of 2017 when we bought a consumables business in Germany. I'm happy to say that that's been successfully integrated and continuing to perform well. And then in July of this year, we did another relatively small but another important acquisition for us, a nice capital equipment business that fits perfectly within our field. And then raising awareness of our business in the capital markets is important, so I thank you for this opportunity. We've been doing some other marketing, and actually we culminated by doing a bought deal in September of this year. We raised about $10 million of cash. As our business is cash flow positive and we fund our own operations, this is primarily going to be used on the next set of acquisitions that we do.
So how do some of these updates affect the business moving forward?
So certainly the organic growth is important for us because organic growth, I think personally, I think it's the foundation of any business, but over time, as we're looking to improve operating leverage and improve profitability, the best way to get there is through organic growth. For this year, we made some significant investments in that. We more or less doubled our U.S. sales team in Q4 of last year, and also added people in Europe and another person in the U.S. in the first quarter of this year. So we're still on the investment side of that. So you might actually have seen a little dip in SG&A, or increase in SG&A, and a little dip in EBITDA profitability. But over the long term, that's an important way to build operating leverage and improve profitability. And then secondly, the integration of the Gynemed acquisition has been important for us because one of the drivers behind that was to increase cross-selling of the Gynemed products into the U.S. markets and the historical Hamilton Thorne equipment products into the European markets. I have to say we've been probably more successful, at least on a dollar basis, with selling products into the European market, in part because of the high average sales price of those products, and as well as their strong established brand. We're still in the early days of introducing the Gynemed products into the U.S., but we're seeing good encouraging signs on that.
So, I have to ask, and I guess maybe this is taking a little step back to take a couple steps forward. Is the strategy fitting the vision that you had for the company? Whereas, and again, this is part two of the question, I guess you would say, is your vision more to make the company more of a vertical integrator, where you have all the different end-to-end solutions, or is it to continue to build the organic business on just a couple of those segments?
So great question. So our strategy has been, and I think for the foreseeable future will be, to focus on the products that are used in the laboratory, primarily in the IVF clinic. So we're focused from a field perspective, we're in Assisted Reproductive Technologies, and then specifically we're calling on the lab director inside the IVF clinic. From an execution perspective, particularly with our acquisitions, but also with some of our product development, we're focused more today on horizontal, so filling in gaps in our product portfolio, adding new products so that we can provide more of what the clinic needs, become more important to the clinic, and ultimately, I think, improve our profitability. Over time, I could see that we might do more vertical integration, probably vertically integrating down by doing more direct sales in some of the territories that we sell through distribution today, and then over time perhaps even vertically integrating up, buying some of our suppliers.
So also, as a reminder for our audience, what is the size of the assisted IVF market?
So the overall market for assisted reproductive technologies, the services provided, is just under a $20 billion market. $17.5 billion this year is what it's been estimated at. Our addressable market is a little bit smaller because there are parts of that we don't get involved in. We don't do the drug treatments. We obviously don't do the medical procedures for the patients. We're focusing on what's used in and used by the laboratory. We've estimated that, as well as Technavio, which is one of the leading analysts following the space, have estimated that between $1 billion and $1.3 billion. So that's what we view as our addressable market.
And also, I'd love to get a reminder as well, what's your background? I mean, how did you come into all this?
So I'm relatively new to the fertility field, but maybe that's not surprising because it's a relatively new field. My background is primarily, I got my start in technology businesses, largely working with system integrators as well as software companies. Spent a fair amount of time both in that period doing M&A transactions, which is one of the reasons I'm very comfortable with what we do, and then following on that, maybe as kind of a hired gun, doing a number of M&A deals. So I've done over 40, almost 45 M&A transactions in my life, often at the sharp end of the stick, which is doing the merger and acquisition integration. So I'm very cautious and very careful about how we do those. And then I've joined Hamilton Thorne just about 7 years ago, and it's been a fun ride.
And from what you can tell us, what are some of the company's growth drivers moving forward?
So clearly, the main growth driver for our business that is going to just go on for a good long time is the overall growth in the need for assisted reproductive technologies. There are strong demographic trends. Women are waiting longer to have children, and as you age, clearly it becomes much harder and the need for assisted reproduction happens. And in countries and parts of the world today that historically have not had a lot of assisted reproduction, we're seeing changes in behavior and particularly increases in income and wealth that makes what has been a fairly expensive procedure accessible to a much wider group of people. Much more kind of on a secular basis. Specifically what's driving our growth are the kinds of things I've talked about earlier, investing in organic growth and our acquisition strategy.
And David, where can our audience go and find more information about Hamilton Thorne?
So I'm happy to say we've recently launched a new website that's focused on the needs of the investor. It's www.hamiltonthorne, and Thorne is spelled THORNE.LTD.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the Small Cap Discoveries Conference 2018 in Vancouver, BC. With me again is David Wolf from Hamilton Thorne, publicly traded company. The symbol is HTL on the TSX Venture and HTLZF in the U.S. David, thank you for joining me again.
Well, thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate it.